Hello and welcome to another session of the Samuel Kokomo Live Experience. As usual, I'm happy to have you here, and I'm just going to do a quick check to make sure that everything is going smoothly in terms of sound and visuals. Let me just quickly check on my phone. 1 second. Because I don't want to be speaking and speaking to just myself. All right, while I'm checking that, let me just pause the video real quick. It's kind of just watching me watch something else. All right, looks like all is clear and all is good. How's it going? How is your weekend going? How did your weekend go, rather? Because it's already the end of the weekend, right? And how was last week? Let me just mute my. All right. How did last week go? Hope it was what you expected. Hope you were able to. Hope number one. Hope you were able to, you know, write down what I told you to write down, which was, the things that you want to get done for the week. Hope you did that last Sunday. And more importantly, hope you were able to at least achieve one of those things, right? Because you don't have to get everything done. You just have to know where the direction you're going in, right? So it's not like I've said a couple of times already. The point of writing things down, your to do list or your list of goals should not pressure you. It should nudge you, but it shouldn't put you under pressure. The whole point of it is just to give you, is to set the tone for your own day. It's for your own day or for your own week or for your own year, right? So that, uh, you have some iota of control and you don't just spin out of control when something else comes up. You know where you're going, and you know when you've reached there. Anyway, today we're going to be continuing on our series, the four forces that unlock your growth. Last week we were able to look at two of those forces, right? And uh, this week I'm just going to wrap it up, and next week I'm going to bring one of my friends. I don't know what we're going to talk about. His name is Icon Stephen Adediba, and he's somebody that we haven't known each other for very long, but it feels like I've known him forever, right? And it's somebody that is super powerful and super interesting to talk to. We're going to get the fly and everything ready to send out to you guys, so you can anticipate that. But for now, we are going to wrap up this series on unlocking the four forces that unlock your growth. We did the first part of this a couple of weeks ago before we took a break to do something else, and then last week we did this new part two, and now we're on part three, right? I don't know. I sort of get. Hey, Toby, how's it going? Thank you for confirming that someone can hear me because I have my mic pretty far away. Anyway, so to give a bit of a recap, right? To give a bit of a recap, hi Timothy, how's it going? To give a bit of a recap so everybody is on the same page and everybody knows where we are at, and you remember the journey that we're taking, right? I said blink, blink. Timothy, please get thee behind me. So, and remember where we're going, where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. The four forces that unlock growth. In part one, I told you about the patterns and the, should I say, things that have programmed us, that has given us a misconception about growth. I talked about somatic growth, making you feel like growth should be automatic, which means you were born, you didn't have to think of anything. You were growing taller, you were growing bigger, you grew teeth, you grew hair, you grew this, you grew that, and because of that, somewhere at the back of your mind, you feel, hey, man, growth should be automatic, right? I'm just going to stop looking at the comments, man. It's throwing me off. Makes you feel like growth should be automatic, but it's not like that, right? It also gives you a misconception that um, growth happens in time, and I told you that growth does not happen in time. Growth happens um, with a combination of making decisions, making things change, and evaluating your experiences. You can be running a business or doing something for 10 years, and of course you're going to get better at it. But it is not because you just spent time on it at it, it's because you had experiences doing it. And it is from those experiences that you make better decisions, and from those better decisions that makes you actually get better at that thing. You might assume that is because you spend time at it. No, if somebody else is able to make the same volume of decisions, the same and gather the same amount of experiences that you've gathered over 10 years in just 2 years, they'll just be as good as you. And I also talked about institutional growth, like growth from school. GS1, GS2, GS3, da 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 da, enter into university. There's a syllabus, there's a time you go to class, there's a time you do this. It makes you feel like your growth should be planned out for you, but that is not true. That is not how real life is. It doesn't happen like that. You leave school and then now you're responsible for how quickly you grow and the area to which you grow, right? And then most people are not prepared for that. And then, I talked about the four things that make growth possible. I'm giving a recap of this because it's important that you keep these things in mind. I said, number one, intention or seed. I used an agricultural, you know, example, an agricultural, uh, should I say, metaphor to explain this. I said, nothing will grow. There can be no growth if there's no intent. When you put it in your mind that, hey, I would like to be, I would like to see, I would like to do, that is an intent, that is a prompting for growth, that is your seed, right? And I talked about being careful about just planting too many seeds and reducing what makes it into your mind as a seed. Listening to different types of people, listening to different types of things, and all of that. And then also I talked about your internal environment, which is your mind. Your mind is supposed to be a fertile ground for receiving intent, good intent, and growing it. If it is not, then something is up, which is part of, if you are following this really well, you realize that what we're doing now is we're trying to shift your mind, your internal environment, and your external environment through these four forces that unlock your growth, because it is your environment that would actually unlock it, that actually unlocks the growth. And I talked about routine, right? Okay, internal and external. External, like, people around you, what you listen to, what you see around you and whatnot. And talked about routine, and I always end up going through a list. I always forget the last one. I'll remember one way or the other, but I know there's routine, and then there's one more, obsession, right? Obsession means doing something over and over and over and over. I liken it to the I was about to say the vibe. You can't call this thing a vibe. I likened it to childbirth. Out there, when the baby is about to come out, there's contraction after contraction after contraction. When your intent means that much to you, when that thing you want to be, see, or do means that much to you, your mind continues to, like, it's like is it contractions they call it? Yeah, like contractions. That is what you think about every time. That is what you do, what you want to do every time. You're obsessed about this thing, and that is the things that trigger and makes growth possible for you. Without obsession, I do not believe it is possible for you to do anything worthwhile, right? And that is the summary of session one. In session two, I talked about why is it even important for you to take growth seriously. And I talked about number one, uh, you need to take growth seriously. My number one reason for taking growth seriously is because, okay, this is not my number one. I'll get to my number one. Number one, nothing really stagnates in nature. If something is not growing, it is already dying, right? It is a law of biology instead. It's a law of biology as well. If you are not making use of, I always get a bit of PTSD anytime someone from my internal team messages me. I wonder if we're having some sort of, oh, interesting, someone's watching me on TV. Interesting. Anyway, so where was I? Anything that is not growing is dying. It is a law of nature. If there's no such thing as something being stagnated, you can't just be. I know that people like to do that. I just want day. You can't just day. It's not possible. If you do not use a muscle in your body, it starts to atrophy, which means it starts to die. It starts to reduce. And that is just the way life is. You can't just say, I just want to maintain or whatever. Growth does not always look like activity. Sometimes growth just looks like preparation. If you're not preparing for movement, you either should be moving or preparing for movement. You cannot just day, because even in the preparation for movement, something inside of you is moving, something inside of you is shifting. It is not possible for you to stagnate. That is why it is important for you to take growth seriously. Right? We're just doing recaps in case you're just joining, recapping the last two sessions, right? So I also said that another reason why you have to take growth seriously, this is something that is personal to me, and I hope that someone can catch it. And that is the fact that I just thought about something that that just sort of rounds this up. But let me just say it the way I said it last week, so you just to remind anybody that's watching, that is watching me do this recap. Anyway, I said I think about living all these decades in this world, and then finally leaving this world, meeting my maker, and then realizing that I only used an inch, a small smudge, a small, I don't know what else to call it, a tiny part of what he gave me as potential, of what was possible for me. How will it feel like looking, being in the presence of my maker and knowing that I disappointed him, right? I do not want to have to face that. I take it as a duty that this incredible being, the Almighty God, has put certain things inside of me, and I must make sure that I use it to the best of my to the best of my capability, or the best possible way I can, right? So it makes growth a responsibility and a duty, and beyond just you, right? Then we went into the four forces that unlock your growth. We talked about direction, right? The questions that are necessary for you to answer, just in case you've not done it yet. Most of what we're going to be doing today is just me asking questions that you need to take time to write down the answers. I am not here to give you answers. I'm trying to bring it out of you. I'll say that again. I'm not here to give you answers. I'm trying to bring it out of you, because everything you already know, it is, at the very least, you know where to look, right? You may not know the answer, you may not know everything, but you know where to look. And I'm trying to bring that out of you. I am not here to give you answers. I'm trying to bring the answers out of you. So you should grab a pen, grab paper, or just pick up your phone and write down those questions and answer them either now or at your convenience. Now, we did direction, and then we did beliefs. Talked about the fact that there's a difference, uh, there's a concept in physics called speed versus velocity. Speed is movement, right? Movement per time. Velocity is speed towards a direction. If you're going the wrong direction, if you just have speed without direction, you know, then it doesn't make sense. You're not really growing. You may be growing forward or you may be going backward. You don't know. So you need to get good direction. And how do you understand your direction? You need to get a picture. You need to know, what it looks like, where you're going, where are you going, who's there, who has been there before, how did they get there, what do you need, and then we went to beliefs. So what do you believe about where you're going? What do you believe about the process of getting there? What do you believe about yourself? Because it's possible for you to want to go somewhere, want to be something, and then somewhere at the back of your mind, you don't believe that it's for someone like you. And it's okay if you what's it called? If you feel that way, as long as you're honest with yourself. Then I also talked about, this is the last point I'm going to make on the recap, because we've already spent like 15 minutes recapping. I also talked about the cycle of confidence. I said it starts with belief. You have a little belief, you take small action, you get small results. The small results increases your confidence by a little bit, and then you take that little extra confidence and you have a better belief in yourself. You have better belief in yourself, you take better action. You take better action, you get more results. You get more results, you have more confidence. Sometimes, and this is why I say growth is not about motivation. It's about self-mastery, knowing what you're capable of. It's okay if all you're capable of for now is just that small thing. As long as there's movement, there can be growth. If that is all your belief captures, that is fine. Take just as much action. Make sure you get just as much results. It moves your confidence a little bit, and then you go back and take more action. So that's it on the recap. This week we're going to today actually we're going to be capturing the remaining two forces that unlocks your growth. Right? The remaining two forces that unlocks your growth. And just to let you know why this thing is important again, I like to start with why, because I can just keep yapping and they are wondering what is all this pressure about. The pressure is getting worse, right? I know that this is December 2025. I know that there's a part of you that makes you feel like, okay, there's a little bit of excitement about the new year and there's a little bit of anxiety about the new year, right? For many reasons, there's always that pressure, there's always that tension. What is next year going to be like? What is this? What is that? But here's the thing. You've lived many January to December, 2020, 2021, on and on and on and on and on and on, right? Do you know one thing that is a common denominator? There are many common denominators, but one thing that is a common denominator is you. So instead of you getting into the pressure and the sensationalism of a new year and all the buzz that everybody is talking about, how about you focus on you and your own growth? Because it is possible to live the same year over and over and over and over and over and over again. And you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that each year that you go into, you're going in fresh, you're going in anew, and you are moving at least a couple of percent forward, right? Because it is frustrating, isn't it? It is frustrating that 2 years ago you said you were going to, I don't know, whatever your goal was, you said you were going to learn a skill or start a business or start posting content or whatever. And then that is still your same, and then that is still your same goal this year, not because you got it to a certain extent, but because you just didn't do anything about it this year. And then you want to do it again next year, right? Something is wrong in the system. Something is wrong in your perception of what is possible for you. Something is wrong in the intent that you're picking. Do you really want that thing? Is that the direction you want to go? If that's the direction you want to go, do you have a picture like we discussed last week? Right? The whole point of me doing these sessions is just so that you don't live the same year over and over and over and over and over and over again. You can live 20 years in 1 year, right? And you can live the same 1 year in 20 years. Like I said earlier on while I was doing the recap, it's not time that grows you, it's experience. If you're not getting new experiences, if you're not, putting yourself in a position where you're getting new experiences, you just keep living the same year over and over and over and over again. Right, now that that is established, let us go to the next force. We already talked about direction and we already talked about beliefs. The next thing is barriers. While I ask you these questions, like I said, keep writing them down. Don't judge yourself. Don't try and write a polished question answer. It is you and you. It is you writing down stuff in a notepad. Nobody's going to come and see. There's some funny how they like saying something. I think there's a Yoruba proverb that says you can't deceive yourself. It's possible to deceive yourself, right? It's very possible to deceive yourself because you don't have any sense of self-awareness. You don't want to be honest with yourself. You are living in a polished version of your life. You have certain assumptions about yourself that is not true, not because you're trying to make it true. That's just what you want to believe. It's better you're honest with yourself. If you're lazy, allow yourself to know that you're lazy, right? There's fact and there's truth. The fact might be that right now you're lazy, or the fact now might be that right now you have limitations, right? But the truth is something you can create for yourself through your own actions. Even if it's not so right now, the fact that you are committed to making it happen makes it already your truth. Let's get straight into it. Now we're talking about barriers. What is blocking your growth? Right? A lot of times it's not that you don't have enough desire. It's not that you don't have enough desire. You want this thing. You want to make more money. You want to pick up a new skill. You want to this, you want to that, you want to whatever. But something keeps stopping you. And you don't examine the resistance. Anytime that something gets in your way, anytime that you can't move forward with anything, you just sort of just cough it off, and then you get you know, you beat yourself up. Oh, I'm bad. Oh, I never get anything done. Oh, I'm lazy. Oh, I'm this. You're not objective about it. You're emotional about it. What I'm going to try and help you to do today is to help you to remove that barrier by being objective about it. So the first question is, what keeps stopping me from moving forward, even when I know what to do? Right? Is it a pattern, or is it a pattern, or is it excuses that you're telling yourself? Let me give you an example of myself, because I like to give you examples of myself, because I'm not here to teach you like somebody that has figured it all out. I'm here to teach you as a co-developer, as a co-learner. I'm teaching you things that I have learned, and I'm still learning, because life is about learning and growth. Every day that you continue to live, it's either what you already know, you're learning it better, or you're relearning it, you're unlearning it, or you're learning it anew, whatever. Right? Checking the chat. Oh, thank God, it's your network, not mine. Ha ha ha. What keeps stopping me from moving forward, even though I know what to do? I said I was going to give myself as an example. I have always had the desire to do something like this. I have always had the desire to start a podcast, post content consistently. Do you know? I think one of the first, uh, when I first did a podcast, I remember I was still staying in my um, room in a flat apartment in Agbo then, and all I had was this, wasn't it this techno? All I had, my own media, what's it called? Everything that I had to use at that point in time was just a small techno phone. And then, I just started a podcast called Quotes and Context. I'll see if I can still find it somewhere. And then, after a couple of episodes, I stopped, right? And then I started another one. I think I called it Copywriting Daily or something. And then after a couple of episodes, I stopped. And then there was a time that I was posting threads and threads and threads on Twitter. And then after a couple of threads, I stopped. And then there was a time that, I had so many times and then last year, I think I was just recording videos and posting them. And then after a couple of episodes, I stopped. It took me thinking, hey, what is the barrier? What is the thing that is in my way? What is it that is moving, that is stopping me? For me, it was that I kept seeking more knowledge. I thought that learning more would mean that I'm acting more. However, the more I learned, the more I was stagnated, the more I was stopped, because now there's new things to implement. Now there's new things, a new perspective. I remember when I said in the first session, there's nothing that will grow, nothing that you plant and grow that would actually survive if there are too many seeds in the ground. I was putting too many seeds in the ground of my mind. And because of that, nothing was growing. I would start something, and I'll compare it to something else that somebody else has done. And then I'll stop. That was my pattern, right? I only started to do this consistently when I discovered that, when I decided that, I'm just going to continue to do it, and I'm not going to listen to anybody again. I'm not going to take any new advice. I'm just going to sit down with that thing that I know, and I'm going to execute the hell out of it. So now you need to ask yourself, what keeps stopping me from moving forward, even when I know what to do? Are you giving yourself an excuse? Are you telling yourself, uh, are you telling yourself that it's not possible, even though you've not tried? Are you giving yourself an excuse like, I don't know how, when you've not even tried to find out how? Have you found out how, but yet you see that you're not actually doing anything? Do your plans, everything that you want to do they stay stuck in your notepad? What exactly is wrong? Be honest with yourself. Is it because you are scared or concerned about what your siblings will say or what your cousins will say? And that happened to me before, right? Anytime I want to start whatever, I'll just wonder, I'll just imagine that someone from back in university will just see me and say, oh, see, this guy is just saying nonsense on the internet. And then maybe they just start to, I don't know, start to judge me or whatever. You have to be honest with yourself. What is it that is stopping you? You want to start a business. Do you know that it is possible? Which now takes me to the next question. What emotions consistently show up right before I quit, delay, or distract myself? For me, one of the emotions that used to come up is boredom, right? Boredom, and I feel cringe. Like once I do something 2 or 3 times, I for a long time I didn't like watching my own videos, not because I didn't think it was interesting, but I just feel cringe because I see that I'm not yet formed yet. I see that I'm not yet, you know, I'm not yet there yet. I'm like, oh, why am I talking like that? Oh, why do I sound like that? Why did I do it like that? You understand? I just used to feel cringe about that kind of stuff, right? But it got to a point that I just had to find a way to face it. So you have to find out what emotions consistently show up before you quit, delay, or distraction. So we're talking about barriers. If you've not noticed, we're not yet talking about anything like what your daddy is or what your uncle says to you or whatever. Right now, it is you versus you because you are the first mountain, you are the first barrier, right? You have to look into the mirror and figure out if it is you that are stopping you and what part of you is stopping you. What is actually stopping you? Is it shame? For me, it was also shame, right? By the grace of God, there are several people that have, over the years that have looked up to me one way or the other because, either by teaching them, coaching them, or whatever. And then, I just wonder, man, if I start posting videos, if I start doing it, what if it sucks? What if all I get is 3 views? All these people that respect me will just look at it and say, look at him. He can't even get people to watch his videos, man. He can't even get people to subscribe to his YouTube channel. Let me just plug it in right now. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you're watching me. I think I'm at 99 subscribers or whatever. I'm sure if one person subscribes, I'll get to 100. Get me there. Back to what I was saying. Sometimes it's shame. Sometimes it's overwhelm, and sometimes it's pride. I have to add unfound pride. I was telling my brother the other day, you're supposed to be proud, but not the kind of pride that stops you. You're supposed to be proud of who you are. You're supposed to be proud of what you carry. God breathed into you. You're made in the image of God. You're supposed to be proud of that. But if your pride is getting in your way, if your pride is getting in the way of you taking action, if your pride is the reason, at the end of the day, all that pride, all that talk is what I always say here. You're just scared of looking stupid. And you can't do anything worthwhile without first looking stupid. Some things you do, right? And you look stupid in a closed environment and nobody knows. But some things you do, you just have to look stupid out there, right? Let me use school as an example. I always used to say the people that pass the best, that pass the most, are the people that fail the most. The people that pass the best are the people that fail the most. I'm just using school as an example. Why? Because the guy that is going to pass during exams has already tried to answer those questions a gazillion times on his own while he's studying, and he has failed it. He opened the book like that, like then he would close his eyes and try and remember, and then he fails, and he checks again, and then he fails, and he checks again. But somebody just scans through the book and they assume they know it, and they get to the exam hall, and then they fail it for real. The person that is going to pass the most is somebody that has failed the most in the past. You're going to look stupid one way or the other. Might as well get started now. So I told myself what actually got me started was I said, I'm just going to post 100 bad videos, right? I don't care how those ones look. After the 100 videos, then I can now review. And I thank God, I think I've even made it past 100 videos now. Just checking. I'm getting you to 100 right away. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for getting me to 100. That is awesome. So, what was I saying? What emotions consistently show up right before you quit, delay, or distract yourself? Is it fear? Is it shame? Is it boredom? Is it comparison? Comparison is one of the most dangerous ones. I still face it till today. I'm going to call it out as it is. Thank you very much, Taylor. I'm going to call it out as it is. Man, I was just going through YouTube, or was it Instagram, and I was watching one of these guys, Eric, right? Eric, I don't want to murder his last name, right? And I was like, man, look at all the followers, not even the followers. Look at how awesome his videos are. Look at how he's connecting with people. Look at how this, look at how that. And then me, I go and check my last stream and it's all blurry. Everything was blur, like they say, right? Because my internet service provider was messing up last week. It's embarrassing, really embarrassing, right? Sometimes it just makes me like, man, this thing is just a lot. And it's normal, right? It happens to everybody. The people that you look up to, it happens to them, right? They feel overwhelmed, they feel fear, they feel shame. And fear is the devil itself. I don't want to go deep into that, but fear is the devil itself, right? What do I mean by fear is the devil itself? As long as you're too scared to move, you'll be too scared to discover. There's something that they say a lot, and you must have seen it on the internet: mess around and find out. Now, that happens to be good advice about don't go and do something stupid. but sometimes you have to mess around and find out what you're capable of. But you never mess around and find out if you're too scared to mess around and find out. If you're going to have any New Year resolution or New Year plan or New Year goal, whatever English you're going to use to call it, try and defeat shame. Try and defeat the shame or the fear of looking stupid because nobody cares. Bro, nobody cares. You are not as important as you think you are. You are the only one that thinks you are. Okay, no, no, let me say it like that. You are very important too. You are very, very, very important. God made you in his image, right? You are the apple of God's eye. Hallelujah, right? But you're not as important as you think you are. Because everybody they face things, right? Everybody is facing things, everybody is struggling through their own problems. And guess what? Even the people that you are scared of looking stupid in front of, they are scared of looking stupid too. So deep down, even if they judge you, they're inspired by you. I'll say it again. Deep down, even if they judge you, they're inspired by you. They wish they could be doing the things you were doing. They wish they could give it a shot. They wish they could try it, right? And guess what? If you try and you fail, it's okay. If you try and you fail, it's okay. Because, like I said, the person that passed the most is the person that has failed most 1,000 times. Ah, thank you. Y'all got me over 100. Awesome. God bless you. Thank you. I just decided to plug that in. So, what emotions consistently show up right before I quit, delay, or distract myself? For me, it was the fear of looking stupid. For me, it was comparison. And for me, it was a little bit of ego and boredom, right? Write it down. If you know it, you can defeat it. You can't defeat an enemy you don't know. There is a proverb in Yoruba that says, the day a madman realizes that he's acting mad is the day he starts to see it, because that means you're conscious of it. I wasn't conscious of it before. You see, one of the most difficult people to help, and I'm saying that because that was me. One of the most difficult people to help out of a rut are people that are so smart that they have a smart explanation for everything that is wrong with them. For me, I start saying something like, yeah, I just feel like that thing is not so good for me. I'm looking for something more, just a big, bold way of just talking BS, right? Be honest with yourself. If this thing is shame, call it shame. If this thing is fear, call it fear. If this thing is you comparing yourself, call it you comparing yourself. At least if you know your problem, you can face it head on. Let's move to the next question. What am I protecting myself from by not growing? Right? You know the funny thing, and I'll keep using myself as an example. Sometimes you're actually protecting yourself from success. You might think that you want to succeed at that thing, but somewhere deep inside of you, you actually don't want to succeed. Right? I'll tell you my parts because I keep using myself as an example. Because you guys are watching a story happen. I just crossed 100 subscribers right now. Maybe a year from now, you see me at 10K or whatever. I remember the day we got in past 100 subscribers. I'm trying to use myself as an example so you can see the story happening live, right? I discovered when I went through this process that I'm trying to put you through that one of my own biggest fears is actually fear of fame. Why? I have this weird fear of responsibility. I have this weird fear of, I know what is good. I know the advice to give people, but I wonder, hey, I know it works, but what if it doesn't work for them? Does that mean that I spoiled their life or something? So I used to wonder, like, okay, you know what? I know this thing is good advice. What if it now goes to 1 million people? Now, what if those people do it and it actually does? It doesn't make any sense. Now that I'm saying it out loud, it sounds stupid. But if I never came to terms with it, it wouldn't sound stupid. It would just be that voice at the back of my mind controlling me. So I had to kill that devil, right? Write it down, kill that devil. You need to kill the devil. The devil in, should I go deep into that one? Because that one alone can be an hour. How do you think the devil or Satan or whatever you want to say, how do you think it operates? You think it's woo-woo magic, chasing you with masquerade, chasing you as a masquerade in your, what's it called, in your dream? The devil is suggestions in your mind. Your village people, right, are the suggestions in your mind. The fears that you have. The things that tell you inside your mind that nobody like you should do something like this. Right? That There's some amounts of money that if they tell you that they want to give you, or the moment you start imagining that you have it, you even start to feel bad. Like you start to wonder, hey, if it's what I am, yeah. There's something that just tells you like, you have to do something wrong to get there. If I tell you that somehow you make 100 million next year, sometimes you might just be excited, like but somehow deep down, if you start to commit to the action, you start to wonder, is this thing okay or not? I don't know if I'm communicating. There's a part of you that just sort of takes a pause and shifts back and deadens that thought in your mind. That is the devil. The devil is not some woo magic chasing you in your dreams. It's just suggestions that keep you where you are. Right? So what are you protecting yourself from by not growing, by not actually doing this thing? You can be protecting yourself from success. Like I just said, I was scared of fail. I still sort of have that fear. Like I like to live a quiet life. I like to not I like to live a rather simple life, right? I don't like that feeling. Matter of fact, till today, I don't know how to take compliments. Most times when somebody sends me a message like, hey, I loved what you thought, da da da, and I'm like, oh boy. Now it makes me feel weird. I'm not used to it personally, right? So to some extent, my fear is a bit of fear of success. What if I do this thing and it actually works? And sometimes that happens to you too. What if you take that job? What if you apply for that job and it happens? It means your life changes. Now you have a new level of responsibility. Sometimes your fear is the fear of success, and sometimes your fear is the fear of failure, and sometimes your fear is the fear of responsibility, right? That also happened to me. If 1,000 people are watching me every time, or if 1,000,000 people are watching me, that means I'm now responsible. That means I can't just say, imagine if every day, I'm telling you my real life here, the thing that has taught me for years from doing something like this before I decided to start doing it this year. If 1,000 people start watching me every week, or if 1,000,000 people start watching me every week, I can't just up and say I'm not doing. They're depending on me. They're depending on the words of my mouth. I can't just say I'm stopping, right? So somewhere at the back of my mind, I stop because I don't want it to succeed. So which is a little bit of self-sabotage. You have to find out if it is you that is doing you. Sometimes it's not your village people. Guess one thing that people don't used to consider. You are from your village, true. So you yourself, you're part of your village people. So your village people might be the guy in the mirror. Let's move on. Right? We're still on, right? Let me just check YouTube real quick. 101. Thank you guys. All right. What habits contradict the future that I say I want? Right? Number one, you can't be what you can't see. And you can't get somewhere if you don't start to look like it. And what's the best way for me to say it? Right? Every level has some sort of requirements. Every level is like, okay, when you want to go, I'm looking for the best way to explain it. I like to use school because everybody goes to school and it's something that everybody relates with. But you know that certain schools, certain universities, like they have dress codes, they have, how students should apply, should look and all of that. You have ID cards and whatnot. You have to look like where you're going. You have to look like where you are, like the environments you want to be in. Your routines has to be a clear tale about where you're going. If your habits, the things that you're doing every day are contradicting, you can't say, or okay, for instance, I can't say I want to be teaching stuff like this every week. And then somehow in my routine of every day or every couple of days, I don't have a way of documenting thoughts that come to my head in order that so that I can now be able to like teach it to people. I can't be consistently coming out to try and teach people these live lessons and stuff if I don't take time to reflect on the lessons of my own life, right? And that is a tip for you. I believe I've come to a realization that the biggest lessons you can actually learn are the lessons that your own life are giving you. You don't even need to read a book. A book will help you. It accelerates things, but you'll be blind to possibility to the degree that you do not reflect on your own life and your own decisions. There is an overarching lesson that your life has been trying to teach you over the past couple of years. If you miss it, all of what we're saying here doesn't even matter, right? There is an overarching lesson that year after year that your life is trying to show you. Sometimes it is just that maybe, you know, one of the things that I finally realized is I don't take myself seriously enough, right? I'm a little casual about myself. Like, yeah, it's just me, no big deal. No matter how much people are like, hey Sam, thank you for all what you've done, thank you did. Like, yeah, it's just me, whatever. Right? The lesson that I've learned from my own life lessons is sometimes I sort of underestimate myself because of all these fears that I've talked about in the past. What lesson is your life trying to tell you? If you're writing these questions down and answering them, you start to get the answers. And then also you have to realize, and then it also kind of points you to the next one, which is what habits contradict this? Contradict. What habits do you have right now that contradicts the future that you say you want? Man, just using myself more as an example, this is something that happened recently. One of the things that I do every day that I enjoy doing, though I enjoyed doing because I rarely do it anymore, is I like sitcoms, right? Sitcoms just relax me. It's just instead of watching all these long 44 minutes, episode by episode stuff where one person is chasing one person, police is chasing one person, they are looking for to kill one person, all that kind of stuff. All of those, I don't like suspense movies. It's interesting to watch. I know people enjoy suspense. What will happen in the next episode? I feel like you're trying to game me into watching the next episode. I mean, I don't like that gaming, right? Leave me alone. If I want to watch, I'll watch. But I like sitcoms. Why do I like sitcoms? You sit down. A sitcom is like comedy series, right? You sit down, you watch this comedy stuff, and everything is done in 22 minutes. So what did I used to do? Anytime I'm having breakfast or lunch or whatever, I always have a sitcom going on. 22 minutes, you're done, it's enjoyable. And then also there's some courses, there's some programs that I've signed up for and I'm unable to finish. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I don't have any time to finish this stuff. And then a voice in my head said, you know what? You have 22 minutes every time you're eating that you're spending on watching a sitcom. Are sitcoms bad? No. But that habit was contradicting where I said I wanted to go. So you know what? Since that day that that voice, spoke in my mind, sitcom time just became time to study a course while I'm eating. Right? I'll still teach about the messy method and I'll explain this into in depth while I'm eating. It doesn't mean that I'm studying it so rigorously, but I'm at least spending that time just taking in information. Right? I cannot say I want to get to the places I said I want to get to if all I'm doing is giving excuses every day about why I'm not there and I'm not actually doing anything about it. Right? If I'm making excuses every day, if if there's nothing in my life that shows that anybody that is watching me, I'm not saying you should do it for show. And I've given this example before. A lot of times, if your routine is stringent enough, if what you're doing is clear enough, it is other people that will know, that will even tell you that there's no way that you don't get that thing. Man, we're really going super slow here, and I want to run through it. So think about it. What habits do you have right now that contradicts the future that you say you want? To wrap that point up, to wrap that question up, you answer it yourself. I always say there are only two ways for you to spend your time. You either spend your time on distraction or you spend your time on growth. None of them are bad. In the example I just gave, watching a sitcom or watching Netflix is not on its own, it's not bad. Sometimes you need to relax, and that's one thing I'm learning now. However, at what proportion are you spending your time? Are you spending most of your time just distracting yourself, or are you spending most of your time, you know, in growth mode? Are you spending most of your time distracting yourself with excuses, or are you spending most of your time actually doing something about what you want to do? Next question. What stories do I repeatedly tell myself to justify staying where I am? I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Like, that is not realistic for someone like me. It's not the right time. I'll do it when this is set. Write those stories down. Why do you need to see? When I started doing things like this, right? When I have it documented, when you have this thing documented, when you enter that pattern again, I want to make this excuse, you just start laughing at yourself like, this is how I used to do. You yourself will just realize that, okay, I'm about to do it again. Okay, I've caught me, I've caught me, I've caught me, I've caught me. Then you can finally move on from it. Next question. Who benefits when I stay the same? Sometimes the reason why you are stagnant. Sometimes the reason why you're not moving forward is because deep down you don't want to offend some people that are around you. And it's a sad reality actually. It is a sad reality. I was having a conversation with one of my friends and he was talking about how it is sort of sad for him that he's come to the realization that the current circle of people he has right now the level that he's trying to operate at, they're not trying to operate at it. And now they're sort of, you just sort of see that, okay, you're on too much. You understand? You don't want to be the person that, and this especially happens in families, right? If you're in a family that you guys like to take things casual, nobody has ever done that thing you want to do before. Let's say, what could it be? What could it be? What could it be? Let's say nobody has ever done remote work. Everybody has always been doing like going to the office, that kind of thing. And then you are now learning this nifty little skill called, I don't know, UI UX design, and you say you don't know you want to be doing design now. Somewhere at the back of your mind, because you don't want them to feel some type of way about you, like you're just doing extra now. You feel like you're the one shop. You feel like you owe it to them to remain the same, just so that they don't feel bad about themselves. Stop it, right? Why? Because their own growth is locked up in your own growth. Like I said earlier, they actually want to be like you. They want what you want. They want to go after it the way you're going after it. But they're scared. You might be the one that would actually help them to finally take action. So write it down. Who benefits when I stay the same? Sometimes your resistance is relational. It's because of the people around you. You don't want to offend anybody, right? For me, another thing is I don't want to be doing stuff like this because there's a feeling that when you are saying certain things, some people think it's them they are talking to. Like I always used to put as a disclaimer on my WhatsApp, is like people think that when I post certain things I'm trying to advise, it's actually coming from a lot of reflection about myself. It's about personal lessons that I'm just putting out there just to, you know, document what is on my mind. So that was one of the things that got in my way. So finally, name this thing. Is this barrier, the things that are stopping you, are they internal, which is your mindset, your internal environment, or are they circumstantial, which means your external environment? Is the barrier real, exaggerated, or outdated? This is something I want to, you know, dot on a little more. Do you know that it is possible that something that they told you about yourself 10 years ago, when you were a kid, when you didn't know better, you still believe it today? This became apparent to me when I was in the university, and there was this lady. When all of us had started using gas cooker in the hostel, she wasn't using gas cooker. She was using the kerosene, and she used to struggle to find kerosene because people were not buying it a lot anymore. So it was difficult to buy. She had to enter like two cabs or something to go and get it. I remember me and one of our hostel mates, we asked her like, "Hey, why do you keep using kerosene?" She said, I'm gonna let her be using a kerosene stove. Oh. She's very it was even her dad that told her that she should not even be trained. She should not try and use gas, so that she's very careless, that she has been careless since. Now I'm thinking, where did that come from? Like they just told you from home. This somewhere, I think we are like 300 level or 400 at that point. They just told you from home, and it's easy to judge someone like that, right? But we all have a little bit of that. Something that a teacher sometimes some many years ago told you, something that your grandma told you, like don't want that one doesn't like stress, so that one don't like to do so and so, and then you just accept it as your identity. That might be your barrier. The things they've told you. How about you find out yourself? How about you apply yourself to discover about yourself? Check in the comments. Right? How about you discover about yourself to see if it's true? Have you tested it? They say you can't sing. Have you tried singing? Don't sing here or don't hear a show. Have you tried singing? They say you are too shy. That one, don't mind that one. You're the shy kid, and you just accepted that identity. Have you tried it? When last did you try it? You failed when you were in primary school. There was, I remember somebody telling me the story about something happened when they were in primary school, and since then, I understand there's such a thing as trauma, right? But now you're grown. You're no longer that little boy. You're no longer that little girl. Give it a shot, right? Next question. We're still on barriers. What am I willing to let go to move forward? I just gave you an example for myself. I was willing to let go of my sitcom time in order to relax, in order to be able to catch up on the things that I need to learn. What uncomfortable action do I need to take consistently? Write that down. Let's write down the questions because I wanted us to just spend an hour here, but it looks like it's going to be more. Just write down the questions. Can't dot on them too much anymore. If this barrier were removed, what excuse would disappear, right? When my barrier of, you know, not wanting to do something and post on the internet, not wanting to look stupid, the excuse of not doing all of these things just sort of left. All that, like when I said I just wanted to post 100 bad videos, right? It became a target for me to post bad videos. So the excuse of not posting, of not doing anything, actually just, it just left. Once I realized that I was in my own way, I had a fear for fame, I had a fear for responsibility. Once I put that down and once I got conscious of it, right, all my excuses left. Do you understand? Right? So please take some time. I don't know, maybe I should just take, copy some of these questions, all of these questions I posted on the WhatsApp group. If you're not on the WhatsApp group, just put it in the comments and then we can respond to you so you can join it. At the end of the day, when we talk, I don't, at the end of the day, when we're talking about barriers, you would find out that the most important barriers is yourself, right? The barriers that are not on you, most of them are out of your control. Can I recap the last question? Which last question? I said, is this barrier internal or external? Is this barrier real, exaggerated, or outdated? That's when I gave the example of the lady using kerosene stuff because they told her that she is, you know, careless. What part of this barrier is actually within my control? I don't think I mentioned that. And I said, what am I willing to let go to move forward? What uncomfortable action would dissolve this barrier if I took it consistently? And if this barrier were removed, what excuse would disappear with it? Right. So the next one and the last force that unlocks your growth is execution, which will make me to preview the next series that I'm going to be doing called the Messy Method. Right. I have found, matter of fact, you know what? Let's go biblical. Please pardon me to go biblical. So I'm going to pull up something real quick. The book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. Don't worry, we're not in church, but I just want to read something out. It said, in the beginning, God created heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. What do we see here? Now the earth was formless, formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the earth. Does that look like a clean system to you? God, in his infinite might, right? He worked through a messy system. God, the God you pray to come and save you, the God you pray to, the God Almighty that you pray to come and help you through your situation. When he created the heavens, when he created the earth, according to the story in Genesis, the earth was formless and empty, and darkness was over the face of the earth. It was messy, in summary, right? And that is like the summary of the next series that I'm teaching. The Messy Method is that life will never, ever, ever give you a clean, clear path, right, to get what you want to get done. You have to do it messy. We're going to sort of prelude it a little bit here when I'm talking about execution. In case you're wondering what we're talking about, if you just joined or if you're sleeping off already, or you're lost along the way, we're talking about the 4 forces that unlocks your growth. We've talked about direction. We've talked about, I ate this. I always forget stuff. We've talked about direction. What's the other one? Beliefs. Then we've talked about barriers, and now we're on execution. What do I know that I am not doing? This is the most important question here when it comes to execution. Write this down. It is not what you don't know that limits you. It is what you know. This is not my quote, by the way. Don't go and post it somewhere and start saying this something I read somewhere. It is not what you don't know that limits you. It is what you know, but don't know how to use. It is not what you don't know that limits you. It is what you know, but you don't know how to use. It is not what you don't know that limits you. It is what you know, but don't know how to use. Right? Back to the question. What do I know that I'm not doing? There is a lot you've learned in your life. Think about the YouTube videos you've watched now. Think about all the stuff they've posted on WhatsApp. Think about all the sermons you've listened to. Think about all the stuff you've seen on Instagram. Think about all the stuff you've seen on Twitter. Have you executed everything? I'm asking you and I'm asking me. I'm asking you and I'm asking me. Have you executed everything? But somewhere in the back of your mind, you think you need something extra. You think you are looking for, what am I going to buy? What course do I need? What do I, there's a message I'm looking for. There's a this, there's a that, there's something outside. What do I need to read? What book do I need to read? You want to read more and more and more and more and more and more books. The one that you've read, the one that you know, have you executed on everything? Let me say that thing again for the people at the back. And if this is paining you, it's not you I'm talking to the person next to you. It is not what you don't know that limits you. It is what you know but don't know how to use. It is not what you know, don't know that limits you. It is what you know but don't know how to use. Because think about it, if you don't know it, it is not a limitation. It doesn't matter, you don't know what you don't know. But the one that you have that is in your hands that you're not making use of, that is waste, right? The one that you know that you're not making use of, that is waste. That is what is actually sad here. There's something you know, it has potential, right? But it's not taking you where it's supposed to take you to. It is total waste, and that is what actually limits you. Sometimes it's because you don't have understanding, you don't understand how to make use of it. Sometimes it's because you're just looking for you're just looking for excuses, or you're just giving yourself an excuse to not take action, or you have shiny object syndrome. The grass always looks greener on the other side. But I think someone has completed it and said the grass is greener when you water the ground, right? The grass always looks greener on the other side. There's another course, there's another YouTube video, there's another this, there's another that, there's another 10 other thousand things. And the sad thing about the day and age we live in is that if you keep looking, when it was said in the Bible that he that seeks will find, right? It's in this our day and age that it is true. It doesn't mean you'll find the right answer. Most of the right answer is already in your head, but you don't remember. Or you've already written them down somewhere. And you've never done it. One, try and execute on 10% of what you know, of what you've written down. Things that you've written down that you've not tried, things that you've tried that you've just stopped. Continue trying it. Go back and try again. Go back and try again 10 times. If you fail at it, come and beat me if you know my house. What do I know that I am not doing? The next question. Where do I confuse preparation with progress? Boy, this is the one that nearly killed my own life. I can over prepare. I'm thinking about it and I'm planning about it and I'm thinking about it and I'm planning about it. This thing happened to me for years, man. I'm planning my podcast. Before ChatGPT, I'm writing it down. This is what episode 10 will look like. And this is what this is what is that. This is what this is what is that. This is. And that, I'm not moving. I'm just stuck. I'm just thinking about it. I'm actually doing anything about it. Where do I confuse preparation with progress? Sometimes preparation is progress if there's nothing else you can be doing. But if you have stuff that you can do and you're not doing it and you're just preparing, one of the funniest things that we just delude ourselves in, we think that the world stops when we are planning something. We think that the world is going to be wild. See, that thing, except if you're a billionaire and you have plenty of money to spend on whatever, or even if you do, it's only to some extent. That business that you're planning how to launch it, or that thing that you're planning how to launch it, you're going to launch it on that day, and that day is just going to be another Tuesday or Wednesday. Pata or Max or all your friends will be to post it on Instagram or their Twitter, on their WhatsApp. The next week, everybody will get tired of posting you, and all of you will now be like the rest of normal people. It is not that launch moment. It's important to get the momentum to start, right? But momentum to keep up is more important, right, than the momentum to start. It's important to start, though, but you're making it too much of a big deal. And that's why you're procrastinating, right? Stop preparing. You're researching, you're planning, you're consuming, you're watching another YouTube video, you're watching this, you're watching that, you're checking what this person has said, you're checking this, sit down, shut up, and go and get action. Go and take some action. Next question. What do I start but rarely finish? What do I start but rarely finish? I'm not going to dwell too much on that. Write that down. Think about it. What does my calendar say I truly care about? My calendar, I mean, what's your routine? Don't lie to yourself. See, one of the rules of copywriting, I've been a copywriter many years, is we have found that when you do a survey, when you survey people, when you ask them, okay, what do you like? What do you this? What do you that? People actually just talk about a polished version of what they think about themselves. If you really want to know what people like, right, look at what they spend their money on and look at what they spend their time on. Sit down and do an audit. What do you actually spend your time on? The time that is not metered or the time that is not paid for, like you're at work or whatever, when it's just you and you, what do you spend your time on? It is from there that you actually find out what really matters to you. It is from there that you actually find out if truly whatever it is you say you want to do, you're actually working towards it or not. I keep telling you the point of me asking you to write all these questions down and answer them is if you face the reality of what you're doing and who you are, you just start to laugh at yourself when you want to repeat those patterns. Audit your day. If you're not conscious of it now, just calm down. Like, think about the last couple of nights. When you sat down, lay down on your bed, what were you watching? When you had the extra time to look on your phone, what app did you open? Straight to Instagram, straight to Twitter, straight to TikTok. And when you open it, what are you looking at? What do you spend your spare time on? That is the biggest indicator of where you're actually going. All right, just doing a quick check on YouTube, making sure I'm not just speaking into nothingness here. We're not live. Why is YouTube not showing me live? There you go, we're live. Interesting. I think I should be telling people to subscribe more. Thank you for letting me know that, Deola. I should be saying like and subscribe more. Yeah, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. All right, still on execution. What is the smallest executable action that moves me forward this week? You know what I'm always telling you? Write down one thing. The year is not yet over. I think I should wrap up with this when it comes to execution, because most of these questions on execution, I'm going to deal deeper into it when I talk about the Mercy method. And it's already an hour. I'm thinking of the best way for me to put this down for you. A couple of years ago, my friend and I were talking about the new year. I think it was 2018 or 2017 or whatever. I posted something, right? I said something about how, let me check the dates. January 1, 2026 is a Thursday. January 1, 2026 is a Thursday like any Thursday for most people. There's no secret elixir. There's no magic. There's nothing that is going to be different about you that day because it is the new year. You would have some dopamine hits, you will have some excitement that, hey, fresh slate, a new January to December. Woo, let's go. But you are more likely to repeat the patterns of this year if certain things don't change. I often wonder, I have wondered this for years. Why is it that when you set an intention, I want to lose weight, I want to this, I want to that, I want to stop this, I want to stop that, you pause it until January 1. Like January 1 is going to give you some magic for you to keep it throughout the year. Why haven't you started now? I found that when you keep it to January 1, you are setting yourself up for failure. Why? Because number one, you're going to fail no matter what. You're going to mess up. You're going to slip up. You're going to slip up no matter who you are, no matter how good you are. You're human, you're going to slip up. But guess what? Because you're starting it on a new year, on January 1st, when you slip up by January 22, you now feel like you've tainted that year. Oh my God, I've spoiled everything. And now, because of that, you are more likely to just not continue. However, if you start it on another random day, like let's say today, which is December 14, which is not so special, and then you slip up by December 24, you're not going to beat yourself up as much. And then by January, you already have some momentum. And then if you slip up again in January, it's not a big deal. You slipped up before, then you keep moving forward. I'll wrap up with this question. Why are you stopping your transformation until January 1? When has it ever helped you to start something January 1? Why aren't you starting now? You might have the right excuse for it, but the dangerous thing about your excuses is that they are true. Most of the time, your excuse is not a lie, it's the truth. You don't have enough money for it, you don't have the time for it, you don't have the resources for it, you don't have this, you don't have that. That's the most dangerous part. That's the most dangerous truth. That's the most dangerous thing about your excuses. But you have to face the facts, you have to face it for what it is. Why aren't you starting today? Why must you start next week? Why must you start January 1? What about January 1, 2026 is so different? Is it because you would have gone for crossover night? They tell you this year is your year. Did they not tell you that last year? Did you not say let's say it's your year this year? Didn't that happen 2 years ago and 3 years ago? I was listening to something recently and he talked about how one of the weirdest things, and it happened to me too, about when you get married is you think that by the time you're somebody's husband, there's just a feeling that you feel like, oh, I'm not your husband, I'm just this. But it's a lie. You just feel like your normal self, right? That's the same thing. January 1 is going to come, there's going to be that initial excitement, right? But you're just going to go back to your normal self if certain things don't change. Like procrastinating, which is what you're doing. Shifting that transformation, shifting that thing you want to do to January 1. Stop it. Thanks once again for joining another episode of the Samuel Kokomo Live Experience. It's been fun and transformational for me. I hope it has been so for you too. Next week, like I said at the beginning of this stream, I'm going to be bringing my friend, Icon Stephen Icon Adediba, a powerful guy, general manager. Is it general manager or managing director? Man, I don't know. He's actually the top guy in one of the biggest organizations here in this city, and he has done it at such a young age. I think he has written 4 books, and he's my age mate. She cover my face. He has written 4 books, and he's just a phenomenal guy. I would like him to share some of his experiences with us next week, which is December 21st. December 28th, if my board of directors, aka my wife, allows me to go live on that day instead of taking an holiday, I'll start the series Messi Method. If not, we're going to start that January 4th, which might be a perfect time to do it because people will have started messing up already. Resolution no day now, you don't know. Thank you very much for joining this stream. Do have a wonderful rest of your night. I really, really hope that this series has helped you to at least give you some direction. And just in case you do have any questions, pardon me, I'm not going to be able to wait for that just yet. But I'll be on the WhatsApp channel, responding to any comments that I see. Do have a great and wonderful rest of your night. And wait, before you log out, make sure you write those 3 things that you want to get done this week. Write down 3 things. He says somebody shout power. Write down 3 things you want to get done this week. Write down 3 things you want to get done this week. Write down 3 things you want to get done this week. I won't stop pestering you. Take care. Goodbye.